Well, obviously, looking back at the film, I thought our guys played extremely hard. They competed. They were engaged throughout the game. We just were a couple plays short here and there throughout the game, plays that we feel like we could have made, we just didn't. I'm going to rebuttal just the showing that we had as far as with our own fans that came out, that supported. I thought that was awesome. Our players felt that. I think the more we can get closer to that every single game, home or away, it means a lot to the players. The players work extremely hard, and obviously we have another challenge this week, a really good Virginia team that has weapons all over the field, really explosive on the perimeter, great running back, great quarterback. And this week will be a challenge just as much as last week, and we got to come out and play hard and clean up some of the things that we didn't execute as well last week to have a shot in this game. So looking forward to the challenge. Our guys are excited. I know they were excited about the way they were able to compete throughout the game, but at the same time, like what I told them again this morning is when we say good game in the staff and together, we understand what goes into this, but don't listen to too many good games. We lost the game, and I think that they needed to hear that, because on the outside, everybody will tell you good game, good game, good game. At the end of the day, we can't let that seep into ourselves like that was enough. We lost the game. So that was kind of the message this morning, and we got to get ready for another tough game.
We asked Zevi afterward, like, what the offense did best, and I think the word that he said immediately was, like, we were consistent and didn't have the lulls on offense. The running game obviously got going. When you look back at that, it's like, what was it about your offense that kind of, kept it going for most of the game?
Yeah, I think Zevi did a good job of taking checkdowns throughout the game, which allowed us to – those are just as good as a run. I think in the run game, there are a couple plays there that we applied the right technique and we climbed to the second level. And some of those bigger runs, Kirby was able to spring because of the blocking of the O-line and the proper technique used. And then there was, of course, the game where we kind of had the lull in the run game. Some of it's due to their talent and what they had done and their call against our offensive play call. But overall, I think what Zevi was referencing is just we played cleaner. It wasn't due to mistakes on our end as much. Some of them are technical. Those are going to happen every single game. But it wasn't a ton of penalties. It wasn't stupid things like that. And even inside of that, there were a couple things that, if you look at it, we got called on Josh Meredith had that sail concept where he catches it out of bounds, and they say we didn't have enough people on the line of scrimmage. The ruling is, you put your arm out to clear if you're on or off. Now it's on film that Landon Wright had his arm out. I can't control those things. It was called. Jalen Caldwell's being slightly off the ball. You'd have to. It was listed as a false start, but it was the illegal formation because Jalen Caldwell was too far off the ball. It was the one that T-Free caught in double coverage. That was a huge play in the game. So, we just got to learn from it. I can't complain about the refs and things that I can't control now. There's enough in there to learn from. Our guys got to execute and be locked in, and we got to tackle better defensively. That would be one thing that shows up constantly, that if we put our attention to it, you can work on those things throughout a season and get better at it, because a lot of it is eating up space, not breaking down too early, eating up space, having the proper foot up on contact. Better to be late on your breakdown than it is early, and at times if we're going to play against better talent and teams like Ole Miss, like we are this weekend, we got to make sure that we eat up the space and put our head and our eyes in the right leverage point and be able to make space tackles. So we're going to continue to work on these small things and not overlook it, and not just say that, well, we're not going to do this year. We'll have to wait till next year. I don't think there's time in that. We got to make sure that we're chomping at the bit to grow in all phases as we see needed. So there's plenty of things inside this game that we need to improve at that will lead to success later if we believe in it. And it's on the players as much as we harp on it to take that in and go out and execute. Overall, the effort, though, was awesome. And our belief that we can win, you could see it at the last when they tried to get us to jump off sides on the fourth down play, just the energy that was on the sidelines. That's something that we haven't had yet this season. And I think that they felt that, and they're believing in the preparation in which it takes to have success long term.
I asked about Kirby. Obviously had their long touchdown rush the other day. And I know you don't always you value the snap counts more than who's starting and who's not, but have you given any thought to making Kirby the starter at running back?
Well, Kirby's listed as a starter to me. I don't really but yeah, it was brought up to me as a staff, we do the starting lineup prior to every pregame or every game that we play during pregame. It should be an honor to start. I view Kirby as a starter. He plays starter-type minutes. In no way is he kind of in a backup role. I would say the same thing. I just like who steps on the field first, right? Like when you rotate inside of personnels, that would mean that we don't have 12 personnel if we started in 11, right? I don't get caught up in that. I try to get our players not get caught up in that. There's plays that are designed for certain players that we feel like utilizes their skill set best. And that's kind of how we call the game. We sub like crazy on defense. We sub like crazy on offense. I think it's about a team, not necessarily who's starting. Because if we get into the starting game, I know it should matter to the players, but at the end of the day, their rep count should matter more than who steps on the field first. And that's kind of where I put my focus.
Jalen Caldwell to work to obviously to start this last week and to contribute like he did. You mentioned the penalty, but obviously facing an SEC defensive line. What did you see from his first start as a Coug, and what was he able to provide to this team?
Yeah, he's just got to continue to polish his technique and get better in the run game. Pad level, he's a big kid, right? So he's got to continue to play with lower pads and then not when things break down inside of a play, not hesitate. Just keep playing as hard as you can. And inside the play isn't a time to think, oh, I'm wrong. You just got to play the hardest you can during that time. That showed up even from veteran players inside of the game, just like, don't look behind you. It's already over with. Let's keep moving forward. But, yeah, I think Jalen did a solid job throughout the first half and even into the third with pass setting. He's got natural arm length. He can punch from a distance. He's got to continue to utilize that strength as far as just timing his punch, and he is heavy-handed. We got to get him going in the right direction. Obviously, there's more belief when you know that you're going to be the starter, right? And so all of our players need to work like they're going to be the starter. That way, when it happens for them, they're ready for the moment rather than being reactionary. But I think Jalen is taking it serious and is only going to improve.
Obviously, you'd prefer to have Cale Reeder on the field, but what did you learn from having him off in the fourth quarter that might help you, especially in the first half next week?
What did I learn? Well, obviously, we want Cale in a full game, and I knew that going into this whole season. He's one of the players that have been with me the longest, and explosive player, great communicator, good tackler, knows the scheme very well. And anytime that you have a veteran player in there with a younger player, say Kyle Peterson, it helps Kyle Peterson to be at ease because the communication goes to him as well. And so what Kyle's thinking, he may not say out loud just based off of his age, but Cale will help remind him that's part of playing together on defenses. Every play has its own line of communication, and every play I'm communicating with the whole field, and I got to be able to be confident in what I'm saying, and that's what Cale gives us. He's a confident individual that's played in it, and is he'll be missed. We'll see if that stands. We sent it in. I think it will, unfortunately, but we sent it in to see if it can get reevaluated on the targeting. I think some of those are really hard, right? You're going frontal tackle on the guy. You both lower your pads at the same time. He drops his head. I drop my head. It's kind of one of those bang bangs. And honestly, happens all over the field. I can't say that was a malicious targeting effect or crown of the helmet is what they said. And so crown of the helmet, yes, he did it as well. He stayed in the game. I don't know. So I'm not a ref, but unfortunately, if he's out, will it hurt us? He's been out for a couple games already. If anything, I want him to play just because it's his senior year and make the most of this time in coming here.
Fans and the media seem to live week to week. Season was quote over after North Texas. Mood has substantially changed now. Obviously, your expectations probably don't change, but has your confidence for what this team can achieve evolved after this past week?
No. My confidence has been my confidence the whole time through. I can't listen to the outside noise for the exact same reason you just said. We played very bad versus North Texas. We didn't play to our potential in the UW game, and we didn't play to our potential in this game because there's enough things inside of that to say, what are you supposed to do? And if they can replicate what they're supposed to do verbally, they should be able to execute it, especially throughout the game when they've shown that they can execute. It's just the consistency of how you go about things, and I'm not going to live in the emotional state of the fan base, but I do appreciate them coming out and supporting, which plays a huge factor in our players and the belief that they have that they play for a school and a fan base that's really passionate about winning and having success and being with you regardless of the score in the end.
That being said, where do you think you've seen the team grow the most since those back-to-back losses in this last 3 weeks with the win, the bye, and then a good performance that came up ultimately a little bit short?
Yeah, I would say they're small things, but I would say operationally and just basic situations inside of a game that I thought, like, man, at times do we have a clue of what's going on to, man, we're understanding the coaching and it's getting better. I thought we did a good job of managing the clock throughout the game. The players are included in that. I thought Zevi did an awesome job. We were snapping the ball with, very rarely we were snapping it outside of 10 seconds ever. It was usually right down to the wire and try to shorten the game in some sense and give our defense also a breather to be on the sidelines a little bit longer. We did the same thing through special teams regardless if the clock was dead, just trying to get our guys' legs and catch their breath on the sidelines. And overall, those things were smooth inside the game. We just got to execute the basic fundamentals better. You play a better talented player, there's the margin of error is small. And so that running back, like I said, that was special. He is special. And I bet you his stock is rising every game he plays because he's a pretty talented player. We just couldn't tackle him the way we believe that we should be able to tackle. Have we make a couple plays here and there? The trajectory of the game looks different. If T. Free catches that short pass, which T. Free played awesome the whole game, that was one of his drops. And we learned from that this morning. Like, you may make a mistake. It's how you respond from the mistakes. But, is that game look slightly different if we make that play and live another set of downs? I don't know. I would like to think it would. So we can't change the past. We can only continue to focus on the things that we can improve and put our focus on those.
Back-to-back games now, you've averaged over 4.5 yards per carry. What has led to the increased success in your running game?
Yeah, I think the multiplicity of what we're doing with formational structures and shifting and jetting and playing to maybe our players' offensive line strength of what they're good at right now, and then them playing together. I mean, I think to be good up front, you have to have longevity to playing with players. And nowadays, across the landscape of college football, maybe the whole offensive line play somewhat gets a little less clean because it takes time to work with players. I was on a team where we started the same starting five for 2 years back to back. It's huge. It's huge. And a lot of those guys, they got better and can technically improve because they were working along somebody that they had been working with for an extended period of time. It'd be no different than any profession. You feel more comfortable in your skin. You feel like you know your role. You could do your role better when you can count on the people that work with you. It's just that's changing in the landscape of college football because of the portal and the money that's involved in it.
Virginia touts a really high-powered offense. When you look at them, you try and break them down. What does your defense need to do to have success this weekend?
Yeah, I would say limit the big plays. We got to tackle better in space. We got to kind of manage the quarterback. I think the quarterback's a really good player on time, in rhythm, and he does a really good job of making the most of the plays when they break down, that he can still keep his eyes down the field when he scrambles, and then his legs will kill you. He's running past. They played a bunch of quality opponents so far, and he's running past them. So we got to do a good job of being able to tackle him in space, but also not give him explosive pass plays as well.
In the tackling issues, you guys have missed 102 according to PFF, second most nationally. What do you think is kind of the biggest issue?
You had to throw that in there, huh? It's second lowest. Yeah, well, it's burning my soul. You didn't have to tell me that, but we're terrible right now at tackling. What do I think leads to it? Poor technique in tackling, breaking down too far away, not keeping your leverage on the ball, not having the right foot up on contact, not trusting the guy inside of me, being out of control and not maybe giving up what it could be 2 to 3 more yards if I just slow my tempo slightly, but my feet are a big part of how I can make tackles, not dropping our head. Each player's kind of different on the mistakes in which they show in tackling. It's trying to improve the individual that they can be at their best, whether it's certain players have a tendency of dropping their head right now. and their eyes are down and they're just dive bombing. Some players are stopping too far away with their feet spread, and if my hands drop, my feet will drop and my base will widen with it. So we got to continue to just press them on taking away the space initially, having the right foot up, keeping my eyes up, keeping my leverage point, understanding that help is coming, and if I don't have help outside of me, I have a sideline. Those are the things that are killing us right now defensively. Because a lot of times we're there. One guy at times when the quarterback has to run has to make a space tackle. There's 11 people on offense, and when the quarterback's running, one of those guys has to make a tackle. And at times we have failed to do that.
Is there any update on Christian and what his outlook is?
Yeah, we're hoping to see what he can do this week, but we'll see.
And then also, Mike Sanjo didn't play. What's his status right now?
Yeah, we're hoping to see what he can do this week.
Back-to-back long trips on the road, sandwiched around coming back home. Just is there anything that the team did really well in terms of their travel habits that need to be repeated coming up with another trip out east?
Yeah, it's a little different because when we got there, I mean, it's just unique that the schedule itself didn't. We played so early in the game or in the day, so the turnaround from. I felt like our guys enjoyed the time, how we did it, because we gave them enough time on Friday night just to like unwind. But that was early morning for us. It was technically a 4:45 start for us, our time, 6:45 there. Here, because we play a little bit later in the day, it's a 3:30 kick our time. So in that sense, it helps us a little bit. We're going to keep a very similar schedule to what we did last week, maybe with a later bed check. Just for the simple fact of trying to get the guys in their room, and if they go to sleep early, they go to sleep early, and then starting what we typically would do for a home game that we play at 3:30. So overall, I'm not overly concerned about that. I had done something very similar in 2021 where we flew all over the country to play everybody in games, and the world made it out to be a big deal. At the end of the day, it's competitive sports. You got to get ready to compete. Nobody's going to care how far you go. And we're not going to talk about it too much. I don't think it's worth talking about things that you can't control.
Last week, you had mentioned it was important for your guys to stay focused, not pay attention to the venue and the crowd and the things around that. What did you think how do you think they graded out on that? Because it appeared that they were very focused and didn't come out flat and didn't let the moment overwhelm them.
Yeah, I thought, you asked about the biggest growth of something, probably that, the maturity that the guys had showed through. That was the sixth game. And I think that you could see it off of the sideline again in the fourth quarter when they had to punt the ball, but they were trying to draw us off sides, and just the energy that came from the sidelines during that moment. And there's a minute left, and we have to drive on an SEC, the number one team in the SEC. And our guys believed that we could do it. We just didn't execute it. If there's anything I regret, it's the first down run play that hit early in the game. We felt like with them being in the coverage that they were in, we could spike a first down, and get our guys on the ball fast enough. And it was a poor call on our part. So we'll just keep getting better. The Virginia, though, I mean, it's going to be a night game. They just watched us play Ole Miss that way. They'll be ready. We're not sneaking up on anybody as far as how hard we play. Because I think in all of our games, you'll see our guys fly around. It's been a mishap of mistakes or technique things here or there, but it hasn't been just complete debacles. It's just been guys at times not making a play. Yeah, I'm excited to go out there. I think it's a really cool venue. They get the hill full of the students that will probably be extremely loud and on top of you. And as you could see when they played FSU, the rush of the field, I mean, I thought it was awesome. So somewhat scary for the FSU players, but I thought it was awesome. That's kind of what you dream as far as playing in front of and being a part of as far as a university.
What have you seen from Sullivan Slingen to just step up into an expanded role? It seemed like his snap count was on par, maybe exceeding Anthony Polano's this last week.
Yeah, I think he's playing really well. And for a young guy, he's just a really confident player. We knew that in high school when we were recruiting him prior. confident kid that's really smart, that wants to do things right, takes notes, asks questions, not afraid to, let you know when he doesn't know something, just to clarify things. All of those things are really important. Great self-awareness. He has great self-awareness, and he's come from a great family, raised the right way, and proud of him and the growth that he's taken. And I think he's still in the infant stages on what he's going to become. And honestly, he tackled better than Anthony on Saturday, and that's why he played more.
You characterized Devin and him not playing as like a personnel thing. Like I was curious, like what you meant by that, and like how he can get on the field, a little later.
Well, Dev's got rolled his ankle on Wednesday. Yeah, so he's somewhat limited, and it's just kind of not the way the game was trending. And I think if you're going to put somebody in there that's somewhat banged up, you got to do it early, and we didn't. We were having success early. We scored fairly fast. We felt like the guys in the game that have taken the reps throughout the week on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday that could go were going to be better than Dev without reps throughout the end of the week in critical situations. So he's got to be able to get through a full week of practice. He's got to understand what he's supposed to do. And he's got to be able to do things full speed to show us that he can do those things and not just like do them on air. He's got to see things, sight adjust, catch the ball, be consistent in really everything. So that's kind of where we're at.
And two more guys to ask you about. It's not too much. No Carter on Saturday, and then Ram also came out for a little bit. What's their status?
I'm hoping to see both of them back this week. We'll see though.